talking about the medical marijuana provisioning centers for almost a year now. Started last December. The first time 1416A was actually brought up and began discussing was in January 2017. I think we heard at the discussion-only meeting we have a split of opinion. When I spoke with the mayor before he left town, he expressed interest in dealing with this right when he got back. I think we have businesses and people who are making business decisions that are waiting for us to act on this. I don't think there's anything about a year-long process that is rushed, and I think the timing is right. So that's that. I want to take a few moments here as part of this, since this may be my only opportunity to speak, though, to talk about why I assume this is probably going to fail, but I'm not sure. On our August 14th meeting that afternoon, 2:10 as a matter of fact, we got an email that day stating that there were 2 items added to our agenda regarding to Mayor Meadows and Councilmember Byers missing upcoming meetings, that those were added and that they were going to be added, and the agenda items were 2 separate items granting a leave of absence, which we correctly noted tonight was changed to add and excuse those absences. We have nothing in our charter that really deals with leave of absence. It's really about missing meetings. This was added to the agenda that afternoon, rushed through because the mayor was leaving town the next day, or I believe the day after, which meant that, and we were told that this was being called a leave of absence, that was after the mayor's council with our city attorney. I will tell you, when that came to us, and when I actually first learned that we were going to have 2 of our council members gone for 2 months, I was frustrated, and I'll say more than a little angry. I could have voted no that night, and I didn't, because I'm trying to be a good colleague. I'm trying to accommodate people's needs. But basically, in structuring it this way, and structuring it based on our charter, which, I've now come to understand over the last, 2 weeks as this is all sunk in, what the mayor and Councilmember Byer have put us in a position of doing is not doing the business of this city for 2 months, and I find that unacceptable. I find it disrespectful. I think it is not fair to the community. I think it is not fair to us as council members to basically say, we can't conduct business. And I know you will say, there are 3 of us. I could convince you. But the reality is we are a very dynamic council. Our votes are sometimes 5-0, sometimes 3-2, sometimes 4-1, and they vary by who is sitting at this table. So I am disappointed that when this came up and was thrown on the agenda at the last minute that we didn't get good counsel and good advice on what a leave of absence meant. I assumed that meant we were down to 3 council members and that we could go forward with the business of this city. The crazy business of setting public hearings, mind you, not trying to actually vote on medical marijuana, just set a public hearing. I'm mad at myself for trying to be a good colleague. I should have stuck with my guts, and I should have voted no that night to not excuse that leave of absence. I also note that, according to our charter, 2 members of council taken at a regular or special meeting can actually compel the attendance of council members. So while we've done an excused absence, I'm not sure, but I guess it'd be an interesting question for the city attorney of whether Aaron and I could take a vote, or Eric and I, if we felt that need, or any of us could take a vote to compel the mayor and Councilwoman Byer to show up at our next business meeting. I think we can. I'm not going to do that, because whether that's loud or not, I feel like this was a little bit of a bait and switch. And I feel like maybe that's just politics, but crazy me, I feel like East Lansing City Council is about serving my community members. I feel like it's about good governance, and I don't think it's about political game playing. I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated that for the next 2 months, we're going to basically sit on our hands and not conduct any real business. We're going to have some good discussions at our discussion-only meetings, except for even that apparently is not really going to be helpful, because we're going to have discussion-only meetings with 3 of us, and we're still not going to know where do the council member Byer and Mayor Meadows sit on these issues. So we actually can't take action. We can't set public hearings or make any resolutions and move forward because we don't know where they are. So we're just going to be on hiatus, I guess, until at least mid-October. So that's my say. I'm done.
So I guess I come from a little bit of a place of ignorance from this because this is my first year on this council. But I mean, I had a different view, I guess, on I just public hearing is a public hearing, right? We get to hear from the public on an idea that a council member has brought up and that our staff has done a significant amount of work on. And I understand, to a certain extent. Well, actually, I understand completely, when something's actually being voted on, disagreements, and some things get voted down, some things get passed through, but, to not set a public hearing about something is, to not allow people to comment on something that we might do as a city. So, I don't know. I guess I had a different view of how this was going to happen, just because I understand life happens. I wasn't never going to vote against leave of absence for people because life does happen, but that was with the understanding that we would continue conducting business as normal. But had I known that it was, we wouldn't be able to set a public hearing about something. And I think that this public hearing is after the mayor comes back. Am I correct?
Correct. Both of these dates were actually selected when we would have at least 4 members of council, if not 5.
I don't think that that's ridiculous. I don't think that setting a public hearing on an issue, even if you might disagree with it, and having an open discussion. I'm literally always for open discussions. I advocated on absolutely every issue we have. And I will advocate it on stuff that I disagree with. I really will, because I think that's what's important about an open and transparent government. What I'm not for is, just killing an idea before the public has time to comment on it. So, I don't know. I'll be voting in favor of this, because this is setting a public hearing. And this isn't me voting in favor of this actual ordinance. This is me voting in favor of wanting public opinion on something. And that's the way that I view it whenever I set a public hearing for something. I might be crazy, but that is, so.
Which is why they're usually on the consent agenda.
Any further discussion? The reason to think about setting public hearings is that they are accompanied by votes. And when people have potentially an investment in the outcome of a vote, they're going to make time to think about the subject being voted on and make a presentation. If someone is going to come and present at a public hearing, take the time out of their day, prepare remarks, take the time out of their evening to deliver remarks, and then it turns out that we were just kidding because there weren't 3 persuadable votes in the first place, then if I were the person speaking, I would be a little ticked at that. So there is actually a cost in my mind to setting public hearing. It's not free. And I would think differently about these issues if I thought there were any exigency on any of them. We were deadlocked on this issue at the last discussion-only meeting. Okay, 2-2, 2 in favor, 2 opposed. We don't know, again, if there are 3 votes for this version. I'm not going to make any assumption about the mayor's position. We can take another month to find out whether there are 3 votes for this. I don't see, for example, an access issue. People need medical marijuana. There are places for them to find it in Lansing. And if the vote on this hearing comes after the November vote on recreational marijuana, we will have more information than we do now, and I don't know how that is a bad thing. So I'm a no on this one, too. Any further discussion?
Nope.
I have something. Maybe I'm beating a dead horse here, but I disagree entirely that it is bad for somebody to come and speak their mind for something that might not pass. We've done that before. We've had public hearings on things that don't pass. And I understand exactly what your thought process is, and I really do, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate your comments. However, I strongly disagree with that, because I think that having a city council, having it on TV, having a public meeting, means that we get to hear from our residents. That's the point of this, and have a discussion about it, right? Like, I don't honestly go into every single council meeting knowing I'm going to vote yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, because honestly, a lot of times I like to hear from my other council members. I like to hear from the public, and I like to understand what the current situation. I like to hear from our staff on these issues, and I might change my mind, or I might go in not knowing something and then learn something during that council meeting or that discussion only meeting, and then vote a certain way because of it. So I think there's an incredible amount of benefit to having a public hearing when you don't know whether something's going to pass or not. And so I would completely and wholeheartedly disagree with that, because I think that's the point.
And the last point I just add is, we don't have to take action the night of a public hearing. We can have a public hearing. It can change the proposal. It can change the ordinance. We can determine that maybe there are still some questions, and we can defer action on that. So that's what democracy does.
Any further discussion? So the motion before us is to introduce, it's already introduced, I believe, to set a public hearing for ordinance 1416A for October 16th, 2018. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Aye. Motion fails. And that concludes our agenda. We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.